Before we begin, please leave a comment, share your thoughts and let us know your lessons learned in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. In the kingdom of Leora, nestled amidst rolling hills and vast forests, two sisters were born on a night that the villagers would never forget. Isla and Maya, though born on the same day, were as different as night and day. Their birth was an event that would change the course of the kingdom. Though none of the villagers knew it yet, the night was dark and quiet when the twin girls made their entrance into the world. The moon hid behind the clouds, casting a shadow over the small village of Leora, where their father, Lord Aldrich, was a renowned merchant known far and wide for his wealth and his trade in rare gems. He named his daughters Isla and Maya, hoping that their beauty and strength would carry his legacy across the lands. Little did he know, their true legacy would be shaped by something deeper, something that even the wealth of their family couldn't buy: their bond as sisters. From the moment the twins opened their eyes, it was clear that they would each walk their own path. Isla, the elder by mere minutes, was tall and willowy, with a delicate frame that seemed to sway with every breeze. Her long, golden hair shone in the sunlight, and her features were sharp, almost regal in their elegance. Maya, on the other hand, was shorter, rounder, and exuded an aura of warmth and comfort. Her deep brown eyes sparkled with mischief, and her hair, though not as long as Isla's, had a soft, almost earthy sheen to it. Despite their differences, the two girls were inseparable. They spent their early years together, playing in the lush fields surrounding their father's estate. They danced in the meadows, laughing and singing as the wind carried their joy throughout the kingdom. Their bond was unbreakable, or so they thought. As the years passed, however, the villagers began to notice the physical differences between the two. While Maya grew into a healthy, curvy young girl, Isla remained slender, almost too thin, her body lacking the fullness of her peers. She would often hear whispers behind her back, comments about her fragile frame, about how she wasn't strong enough, not healthy enough. But it wasn't just the villagers who noticed. Her father, Lord Aldrich, began to worry. "I fear you are too delicate, Isla," he would say, his voice heavy with concern. "The world is not kind to those who are weak. You must eat more, grow stronger." But no matter what Isla ate, no matter how hard she tried, she remained as thin as ever, her body seemingly resistant to the nourishment her parents provided. In contrast, Maya seemed to thrive, growing more vibrant by the day, her body fuller, her confidence blooming with each passing year. The village children, unaware of Isla's inner turmoil, began to mock her. They would call her the twig, or the stick. Laughing as they pointed at her delicate form, they would say cruel things, teasing her for being too thin, for not being strong enough to keep up with their games. But Maya was always there, standing in her sister's defense, her fierce protectiveness shining through. "If you don't stop calling my sister names, you'll have to answer to me," Maya would shout, her eyes burning with anger. No one dared to cross her, for Maya was as fearless as she was loyal. She would often stand between Isla and the other children, her strong presence a shield against the cruelty of the world. Despite the constant teasing, Isla found solace in her sister's love. Maya's unwavering support was a lifeline for Isla, and in the warmth of their shared bond, Isla found the strength to carry on. But as the years went by, the weight of the villagers' words began to take its toll on Isla's spirit. She began to doubt herself, wondering if she would ever be enough. The village elders, who once praised her beauty, now whispered about her shortcomings. "How can such a delicate girl ever manage a family?" they would murmur when Isla passed by. "She'll never have the strength to be a wife, to bear children. She's too fragile." The words stung, cutting deep into Isla's heart. But it wasn't just the adults who mocked her. The other young girls in the village began to avoid her, choosing to play with Maya instead, the girl they thought was normal. Isla would watch them from a distance, her heart heavy with longing. She wished more than anything to fit in, to be accepted, but it seemed as though the world had already made up its mind about her. Every day was a struggle for Isla. She longed to be like the other girls, to feel the warmth of their friendships. But the teasing, the judgment, it all felt too much to bear. Sometimes, she would retreat to the quiet corners of the estate, hiding away in the solitude of the garden or the library, hoping to escape from the harsh reality of her world. But Maya would always find her, always bring her back from the darkness. "You're not like them," Isla, Maya would say, her voice soft but firm. You don't have to be like anyone else. You're special just the way you are. But despite Maya's words, Isla couldn't escape the nagging voice in her head. The voice that told her she was not enough. She began to feel as though she were invisible. A mere shadow in a world that seemed to value only strength and beauty. One evening, as the sun set behind the distant mountains, casting a golden glow across the fields, Isla sat alone by the window of their shared room. Her eyes gazed out at the world beyond, but her mind was lost in thought. She wondered if she would ever find her place in the world. If she would ever feel truly seen, truly loved. It was then that Maya entered, her steps light and carefree, her laughter filling the room. She sat next to Isla, her arms slipping around her sister's shoulders. Don't listen to them, Isla, Maya whispered, as though she could read her sister's thoughts. You are everything I've ever needed. And I love you just the way you are. Isla leaned into her sister's embrace, finding comfort in the warmth of Maya's touch. For a moment, the world seemed to fade away, and all that mattered was the love they shared. Maya was right. Maybe the world didn't understand her, but Maya did, and in that moment, that was enough. But little did they know, the events that would shape their future were just beginning to unfold. The journey ahead would test their bond in ways they could never have imagined. And the village that had once mocked Isla would soon be forced to recognize the strength and beauty that lay within her. A strength that no amount of teasing could diminish. As the years passed, the bond between Isla and Maya grew even stronger. Though the world around them seemed to be growing darker, Isla had always been the quieter of the two, preferring the company of her sister to the other villagers. Maya, with her infectious energy and boundless confidence, had a way of drawing people in, making them feel safe and accepted. Yet, despite Maya's radiance, there was an undercurrent of tension that neither girl could escape. Isla's body, still delicate and slender, remained the subject of much gossip, while Maya blossomed into a beautiful young woman with curves and vitality. Isla remained pale, thin, and fragile-looking. The villagers, who once admired the girls for their beauty, began to treat Isla with disdain. They whispered behind her back, calling her the wilted flower, and saying she would never amount to anything. Isla overheard them more times than she cared to count. She had learned to smile through the comments, to laugh along with Maya. But the weight of their words crushed her spirit. She'll never marry, they said. Who would want a wife so fragile? Their remarks followed her wherever she went, even though she tried to ignore them. There were days when the burden of their judgment felt unbearable, and all Isla could do was hide away, wrapping herself in a cocoon of solitude. But no matter how hard the world pushed against her, Maya remained her unwavering protector. Maya saw the beauty in Isla that no one else did. To Maya, her sister's delicate form was a sign of strength, not weakness. She would always remind Isla of this, her voice full of conviction. You are the strongest person I know, Maya would say, her eyes shining with admiration. You don't need to be like them. You are perfect just the way you are. Maya's words were a balm to Isla's wounded soul. Still, even Maya's love couldn't protect Isla from the isolation that seemed to be growing with each passing day. The villagers had grown increasingly distant from her, choosing to spend their time with Maya instead. They adored Maya, her laughter, her full figure, her natural beauty, but Isla was the one they ignored, the one they whispered about when she wasn't looking. She felt like an outsider in her own village. It wasn't just the villagers who made Isla feel invisible. Even her own father, Lord Aldrich, began to question her worth. Though he still loved her dearly, he had started to worry about her future. You must take better care of yourself, Isla, he would say. The world is a harsh place, and if you are not strong enough, you will never find your place in it. These words, though said with love, only made Isla feel more inadequate. How could she ever meet her father's expectations when no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't seem to change? Lord Aldrich, with all his wealth and success, seemed to believe that beauty and strength were the only things that mattered. He wanted Isla to be strong, to take charge of her life, to be a figure of pride for their family. But Isla felt as though she was constantly failing him. Then came the day that changed everything. It was the time of year when the village prepared for its grand festival, an event that brought together all the nearby kingdoms. It was a time of music, food, dancing, and laughter. Isla had dreamed of attending the festival for as long as she could remember. She and Maya had always planned to go together, to dance and sing and be surrounded by the joy of the people. But this year, things would be different. The festival was not just a celebration of life, it was a competition of beauty and strength. The village elders had decided that the girls would be judged in various categories, and the winner would be crowned the Maiden of the Year in a grand ceremony. Maya, with her vibrant energy and full figure, was a natural choice for the competition. But Isla, still delicate and frail, wasn't even considered. In fact, when the village leaders announced the contestants, Isla was excluded without a second thought. When Isla heard the news, she felt a pang of hurt in her heart. But it wasn't the exclusion that stung the most, it was the way the villagers looked at her. As if she didn't even matter. Maya, who had always been her greatest ally, was conflicted. She wanted to support her sister, to stand by her, but she couldn't help feeling guilty. She had been chosen for the competition, and Isla hadn't. It was as though the world had already decided who was worthy and who was not. But Maya, ever the fierce protector, wasn't going to let Isla be left out. One evening, after a particularly harsh conversation with the village elders, Maya pulled Isla aside. "I don't care about the competition," Maya said, her voice firm. "You're my sister, and I'll stand by you no matter what. You don't need to prove anything to anyone." Isla's eyes filled with tears, the weight of the world on her shoulders. "But Maya, I'm not like you. I can't do what they want me to do. I'm not strong enough." Maya shook her head. "You don't have to be like anyone else. You're already amazing just as you are. Let them see your strength. Show them what you're really made of." For the first time in months, Isla felt a spark of hope. Maya's words resonated deep within her heart. Maybe she didn't need to be like everyone else. Maybe she could be her own person, unique in her own way. With Maya by her side, she felt ready to face the world, no matter how harsh it seemed. The night of the festival arrived, and Maya was shining brighter than ever, dazzling the crowd with her radiant energy. But Isla, instead of hiding in the shadows, stood tall by her sister's side. She wasn't competing for a crown, nor was she seeking validation. She was simply there to support her sister, to be part of something that felt important. As the night wore on, Isla's confidence grew. She danced, she laughed, and for the first time in a long while, she felt like she belonged. But the night wasn't over, and the competition was far from decided. An unexpected twist was about to change everything for Isla and her future. The days after the festival were filled with a sense of unease for Isla. While Maya had been crowned the village's Maiden of the Year, Isla remained overshadowed by the harsh judgments and whispers that still followed her wherever she went. The villagers, although they had celebrated Maya's victory with enthusiasm, still treated Isla with indifference. They saw her as nothing more than a fragile figure, a girl too delicate to contribute to the world around her. They whispered behind her back, commenting on how she would never be able to fulfill the duties expected of her in life, and how she could never compare to Maya. Isla had always tried to ignore their comments, but they stung more now than they ever had before. She could feel the weight of their judgment every time she walked through the village. The eyes that scrutinized her every move. And though Maya, ever the protector, tried to comfort her, Isla couldn't help but feel the divide between them growing wider. It was not that Isla didn't love her sister. She did, more than anything in the world. But she began to wonder if Maya was the one who had the power to make a difference. While she remained an unnoticed figure in the background, Maya, after all, was adored by everyone, the village elders, the villagers, the young men. She was the one everyone praised, the one whose beauty and strength were celebrated. And Isla, despite all her talents and potential, felt invisible. But things were about to change. A major event was being planned in the neighboring kingdom of Bord. A grand competition that would bring together the finest young women from all three kingdoms, Leora, Bord, and Mori. The event, known as the Maiden's Challenge, was a series of rigorous tests that would challenge the strength, intelligence, and grace of the contestants. The winner would be crowned the Queen's Maiden, a title that would come with great prestige, wealth, and influence. Maya had already been chosen to represent Leora, a decision that was met with cheers and applause. Everyone knew that Maya, with her charm, beauty, and wit, was the perfect candidate. But what no one expected was that Isla, despite her fragility, would be named as an unexpected contender by the kingdom's leader, Lord Aldrich. The decision sent shockwaves through the village. How could Isla, with her delicate frame, possibly compete in such a demanding competition? Isla herself was stunned when her father announced it. At first, she had thought it was a mistake. But Lord Aldrich stood firm. His eyes filled with determination. "You will represent our family," he said. "You have strength within you, Isla, a strength that no one else sees. I believe in you." For the first time in a long while, Isla felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this was her chance to prove herself, not to the villagers. Not even to her father, but to herself. She didn't need to be like Maya. She didn't need to be perfect. She just needed to show that she had something unique to offer. That she could stand on her own. The journey to Bord was long and arduous. Isla traveled alongside Maya, her father, and a small group of advisors. As they approached the kingdom of Bord, the grandeur of the city took Isla's breath away. The towering castles, the bustling streets, the grand marketplaces, all of it felt like a dream. She had always lived in the quiet village of Leora. But now, as she stood on the threshold of a world far beyond her own, she felt both excited and terrified. When they arrived at the Grand Palace in Bord, the tension was palpable. Isla and Maya, along with their fellow contestants, were introduced to the competition's judges. A panel of esteemed figures from each of the three kingdoms. Among them was Lady Fiora, the reigning queen's maiden, known for her grace and beauty. She was a woman who had captured the hearts of many. And now she would be tasked with determining which young woman was worthy of succeeding her. The first event of the Maiden's Challenge was a culinary competition, where each contestant was asked to prepare a traditional dish from her kingdom. Maya, with her flair for dramatic presentation and bold flavors, was a natural in the kitchen. Isla, on the other hand, felt nervous at first, but as she began to chop the vegetables, to stir the broth, she found herself in her element. The smells of the ingredients, the rhythm of her movements, she felt a sense of calm that she hadn't experienced in years. She knew this was her strength. As the judges tasted each dish, they marveled at Maya's dish, praising her for her creativity and technique. But when they tasted Isla's, their expressions shifted. The dish was simple, yet perfectly balanced, a true reflection of the love and care that Isla had put into it. Lady Fiora, who had been watching Isla closely, gave her an approving nod. For the first time, Isla felt truly seen. She wasn't the delicate, fragile girl they had all thought her to be. She was capable. She was strong. Isla and Maya both advanced to the next round. But there was still much to be done. The second event was a test of endurance, where the contestants would have to swim across a wide, fast-moving river and then race through a dense forest to retrieve a hidden treasure. Maya, with her athleticism, excelled in the river, but Isla, lighter than most, found herself moving faster than she had ever done before. She swam through the water with ease, the currents pulling her along, her body gliding with surprising strength. She reached the forest first, her heart pounding in her chest. But the treasure hunt was not so simple. Isla found herself lost in the dense woods, unable to find the glint of gold she was searching for. And just when she was about to give up, something caught her eye, a small, blue object glimmering in the sunlight. As she reached for it, she realized it wasn't the treasure they were looking for, but a decoy. But Isla didn't let that stop her. She continued searching, her determination unwavering. Meanwhile, Maya had found what she thought was the treasure and was heading back to the finish line. But Isla, trusting her instincts, found the real treasure hidden deep in the woods. High in a tree, she reached up, climbing with surprising agility for someone so thin, and retrieved the box that held the golden prize. When Isla returned to the palace, breathless and triumphant, she was met with shocked gazes from the judges. They hadn't expected the fragile girl from Leora to be so capable, so resilient. But Isla knew that this was only the beginning. She wasn't just proving her strength to others, she was proving it to herself. The final round of the competition was the most intense. The contestants were asked to perform a task that combined both intellect and strength. They had to negotiate a trade deal between two rival kingdoms, using only their wit and persuasion. Maya, ever the diplomat, made an impressive presentation, but Isla's approach was different. She spoke from the heart, appealing to the core of the issue rather than focusing on the politics. In the end, Isla's approach won the day. The judges praised her for her integrity, her honesty, and her ability to see beyond the surface. She wasn't just the delicate girl they thought she was a force to be reckoned with. When the final decision was announced, Ayla stood at the edge of the stage, her heart pounding in her chest. The judges named Maya as the winner of the competition, but they also crowned Ayla as the champion of strength, a title given to the contestant who had shown the most resilience and growth throughout the competition. Ayla had done what no one thought was possible. She had proven that strength came in many forms. As the crowd erupted into applause, Ayla felt a sense of pride wash over her. She had finally shown the world who she truly was. And, more importantly, she had finally learned to believe in herself.